The war room of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. 12 different alien species sat around a massive holographic display, showing Earth spinning slowly in the darkness of space. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful, so vulnerable. Thexanar, a tall creature with 4 arms and silver skin, pointed at the display with one of his clawed fingers. He was the Council's best military strategist, and his calculations had never been wrong before. "My analysis is complete," Thexanar announced to the room. His voice was deep and confident. "The humans will collapse within 3.7 standard hours after the first attack begins." The other council members nodded their heads. Some made clicking sounds with their mouths, which meant they agreed. Others simply stared at the floating image of Earth with hungry eyes. "Their technology is primitive," Thexanar continued. "They still use chemical rockets to leave their planet. Their weapons shoot metal bullets. Their military tactics are predictable and based on ancient strategies." Rexhai, who looked like a giant insect with purple wings, leaned forward. "What about their numbers?" "They have billions of them." Thexanar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Numbers mean nothing when facing superior technology. The Valkyrie fleet has 50,000 ships. Each ship can destroy an entire human city. The humans have nothing that can even scratch our hull plating." On Earth, far below the Council's space station, Commander Park Ji-ho stood in the command center of the United Earth Defense Force. The room was filled with screens showing satellite data, radar readings, and communication channels from around the globe. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching the outer solar system," reported Lieutenant Kim Doyon from her station. Her voice was steady, but Park Ji-ho could hear the tension underneath. Park Ji-ho walked over to the main display screen. It showed hundreds of dots moving toward Earth like a swarm of angry insects. He had been waiting for this moment for 20 years. Every human leader had been waiting for it. "How long until they reach us?" he asked. "Approximately 6 hours, sir." Park Ji-ho nodded and pressed a button on his communication device. "This is Commander Park Ji-ho to all stations. Code Black is now in effect. Repeat, Code Black is in effect." Across the planet, hidden facilities began powering up. Deep underground bunkers opened their doors. Satellites that had pretended to be simple communication devices revealed their true purpose. The human race had been preparing for this day much longer than any alien could imagine. In another part of the Earth Defense Headquarters, Kim Sora sat at her desk reading reports that would have shocked the Galactic Council. As head of Earth's Xenological Warfare Division, she knew secrets that only a few hundred humans shared. "Ma'am, all deep space monitoring stations report the same thing," said her assistant, Major Lee Dongyun. "It's definitely the Valkyrie. 50,000 ships, just like our intelligence predicted." Kim Sora smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting to spring a trap. "Excellent. Are our quantum defense networks online?" "Yes, ma'am. All 732 stations are ready." "Good. The Council thinks we're just going to roll over and die. They're about to learn why that's a very bad assumption." Back on the Council's station, the alien leaders watched their screens with great interest. The Valkyrie fleet was now visible on their long-range sensors. A massive formation of sleek black ships moving through space like sharks through water. Admiral Vorthek of the Valkyrie appeared on their communication screen. He was tall and thin, with skin like dark metal and eyes that glowed red. Behind him they could see the bridge of his flagship, filled with other Valkyrie warriors. "Council members," Vorthek said in his cold voice, "my fleet will reach the human planet in 4 hours. We will broadcast the surrender demand as planned. When they refuse, we will begin the systematic destruction of their major cities." "How long do you estimate the conquest will take?" asked Thexanar. "No more than 72 hours for complete subjugation." "Probably less. These humans fight each other constantly. They have no unity, no discipline. They will panic and surrender quickly." The council members made their approval sounds again. Everything was going according to their plan. What they did not know was that every word they spoke was being recorded by human listening posts scattered throughout the galaxy. For 50 years, humanity had been playing a careful game, pretending to be primitive while secretly building the most advanced military technology the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. Choi Hana stood in the control room of the Quantum Defense Initiative, humanity's most secret project. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at computers that used technology far beyond what the aliens thought humans possessed. All orbital installations are online and ready, reported engineer Bei Jisoo. The quantum tunneling network is stable. Gravity well generators are charged. Dr. Choi Hana looked at the display showing Earth surrounded by what appeared to be simple satellites and space stations. The aliens saw primitive human technology. They had no idea they were looking at the most deadly defense system ever created. Remember, she said to her team, we only get one chance at this. If we miss even a single enemy ship, they could escape and warn the rest of the galaxy about our true capabilities. Captain Yang Daeho aboard the Earth Defense flagship Incheon's Pride received his final orders. The ship floated in space looking like nothing more than a large research vessel. The Valkyrie scanners would see outdated engines, simple weapons, and basic hull armor. They would never detect the quantum displacement drives, the antimatter torpedo systems, or the AI targeting computers that could track 10,000 objects simultaneously. All stations report ready. Sir, said his first officer, Lieutenant Commander Park Subin. Yang Daeho looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, 50,000 enemy ships were coming to destroy his home. The aliens thought humans were weak and stupid. They thought human military technology was hundreds of years behind their own. In less than 4 hours, they would discover just how wrong they were. The Galactic Council had made their predictions based on what they could see. They had never imagined that a species capable of such deception might be capable of much more. The trap was set. All that remained was for the Valkyrie to fly right into it. The Valkyrie fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 50,000 warships spread out in perfect formation, their black hulls gleaming under the distant light of the sun. Each ship was the size of a small city, packed with weapons that could crack planets. Admiral Vorthek stood on the bridge of his flagship, the destroyer of worlds. Through the massive viewing window, he could see the small blue planet that would soon belong to the Valkyrie Empire. His red eyes glowed with satisfaction. Begin the approach, he commanded. All ships maintain attack formation. Prepare the surrender broadcast. On Earth, every human military facility had gone to maximum alert. Soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment took their positions. Scientists who had spent decades preparing secret weapons powered up their systems. Leaders who had planned for this invasion activated protocols that no alien had ever seen before. Colonel Lee Minho sat in the First Contact Communications Center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. His job was simple: receive the alien surrender demand and respond according to plan. He had practiced this moment 1,000 times. Sir, incoming transmission on all frequencies, reported communications specialist Han Jinwoo. It's from the lead enemy ship. Put it on the main screen, Lee Minho said calmly. Admiral Vorthek's image appeared on the screen. He looked exactly like human intelligence had described. Tall, thin, with metallic skin and burning red eyes. When he spoke, his voice was cold and full of contempt. Humans of the planet Earth, Vorthek began. I am Admiral Vorthek of the Valkyrie Empire. Your planet has been selected for conquest and colonization. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Lay down all weapons. Gather in your major cities. Prepare for occupation. He paused, his metal face showing what might have been amusement. Any resistance will result in the immediate destruction of your largest population centers. You have primitive weapons that cannot harm our ships. Your military is weak and divided. Surrender now, and some of you may be allowed to live as servants. The transmission ended. Lee Minho sat quietly for a moment, then activated his response communicator. Message received, he said in clear, calm English. Response incoming. What Admiral Vorthek heard as a simple acknowledgement was actually a code phrase. All across Earth and in secret facilities throughout the solar system, those 2 words triggered the final stage of humanity's greatest military operation. Dr. Choi Hana watched her screens as the Quantum Defense Network came online. For 60 years, humans had been launching what appeared to be communication satellites, weather monitoring stations, and research platforms. The aliens had watched this happen and saw nothing threatening about it. They had been very, very wrong. Quantum. Field generators are at full power, reported engineer Bei Jisoo. All 732 nodes are synchronized and ready. Gravity well projectors are charged. Added technician Moon Sunho. Antimatter. Dispersion systems are online, called out. Specialist Jang Minho Dr. Choi Hana looked at the tactical display showing the Valkyrie fleet, spreading out across Earth's solar system. The aliens were following exactly the attack pattern that human strategists had predicted 20 years ago. They're positioning themselves perfectly, she said with grim satisfaction. Every ship is exactly where we want them to be. Captain Yang Deho received the activation signal aboard the Incheon's Pride. Around him, his crew worked with the smooth efficiency of people who had trained for this moment their entire careers. Quantum displacement drives are ready, sir, reported Lieutenant Commander Park Subin. Antimatter torpedo systems are loaded and armed, added Weapons Officer Kim Hyun-woo. All stealth systems are functioning perfectly. The enemy still reads us as a primitive research vessel, said electronic warfare specialist Yu Sung-ho. Yang Daeho nodded. The Valkyrie fleet was now spread across the entire solar system, thinking they were positioning themselves for an easy conquest. They had no idea they were actually moving into the largest trap in galactic history. Back in the Galactic Council's war room, the alien observers watched the invasion begin with great interest. Their long-range sensors showed the Valkyrie ships taking up positions around Earth. The humans are not responding, noted Thexanar with satisfaction. No military movement. No weapon systems powering up. They appear to be paralyzed with fear. Exactly as predicted, agreed Rek'Sai. Typical prey species behavior when faced with overwhelming force. What their sensors could not detect were the quantum signatures of humanity's hidden weapons. The technology was so far beyond what they thought humans possessed that their equipment simply ignored it as background radiation. Admiral Vorthek was pleased with how smoothly the operation was proceeding. His ships had surrounded the human planet without encountering any resistance. Their primitive satellites and space stations showed no signs of weapons or defenses. Sir, reported his tactical officer, we are detecting some unusual energy readings from the human installations. What kind of readings? Vorthek asked. Unknown, sir. Our computers cannot identify the signature. It might be their primitive power systems overloading from fear. Vorthek laughed, the sound echoing across his bridge. Let them be afraid. Fear will make the conquest easier. He activated his fleet communications. All ships prepare for final approach. Bombardment positions in 30 minutes. The humans have not responded to our surrender demand. We will begin with their capital cities. On Earth, General Oh Kyung-min stood in the deepest command bunker ever built. Around him, representatives from every major military force on the planet watched the final countdown on their screens. All systems show green, reported Admiral No Young-ho, commander of Earth's secret space fleet. Every enemy ship is now within the quantum displacement field. Ground-based. Installations report ready, added Air Force General Song. Minji, orbital defense platforms are in position, said Navy Admiral Lim Soo-young. General. Oh Kyung-min looked at the clock. In exactly 15 minutes, the Valkyrie fleet would begin bombing Earth cities. They expected to face helpless humans armed with primitive weapons. Instead, they were about to discover what happened when humanity's greatest scientific minds spent 60 years preparing for exactly this scenario. All stations, General Oh Kyung-min announced, prepare for Operation Quantum Storm. Execution in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The trap was ready. The aliens had taken the bait perfectly. In less than 15 minutes, the galaxy would learn why underestimating humanity was the last mistake many species would ever make. The clock in the underground command center showed exactly 1442 GMT when General Oh Kyung-min spoke the single word that would change galactic history forever. Execute. Across Earth's solar system, 732 hidden installations that had pretended to be simple satellites suddenly revealed their true purpose. Quantum field generators that had taken 60 years to develop and deploy activated. Simultaneously, what happened next defied every law of physics that the Galactic Council thought they understood. Admiral Vorthek was reviewing the final attack plans when his tactical officer suddenly screamed in alarm. Sir, energy readings are off the charts. Something is happening to space itself. Before Vorthek could respond, his massive flagship began to shake violently. Outside the viewing windows, space itself seemed to be twisting and bending like water. Other Valkyrie ships appeared to be stretching and warping as reality folded around them. What is this? Vorthek demanded, but his crew had no answers. Dr. Choi Hana watched her screens with intense satisfaction as the quantum displacement field activated perfectly. Every Valkyrie ship in the solar system was now trapped in artificial space-time, bubbles that humanity controlled completely. Phase 1 complete. reported engineer Bei Jisoo. All enemy vessels are locked in quantum displacement fields. They cannot move, cannot fire weapons, cannot communicate. Beginning Phase 2, announced Specialist Moon Sunho. Repositioning enemy fleet. This was humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to move objects instantly across vast distances using quantum tunneling technology. What had taken the Valkyrie hours to position around Earth was about to be undone in seconds. Lieutenant Commander Park Subin watched her tactical display in amazement as 50,000 enemy warships simply vanished from their positions and reappeared in carefully planned locations throughout the solar system. All enemy ships have been moved to designated kill zones, she reported to Captain Yang Daeho. They're exactly where we want them. Excellent, Yang Daeho replied. Begin Phase 3. Aboard his flagship, Admiral Vorthek found himself staring at a completely different view of space. Somehow, his ship had been moved from its position near Earth to a location near Jupiter. Around him, other Valkyrie vessels appeared equally confused and displaced. How is this possible? He demanded. No species in the galaxy has this kind of technology. His science officer, a creature with 6 eyes and blue skin, worked frantically at his station. Sir, I'm reading massive gravity wells opening around our fleet, and some kind of antimatter reaction building in the space around us. Vorthek felt real fear for the first time in his long military career. Get us out of here. Maximum power to engines. I'm trying, sir. Something is holding us in place. Our engines won't respond. Back on Earth, Commander Shin Wubin activated the final phase of humanity's trap. Hidden throughout the solar system, installations that had been disguised as asteroid mining operations and deep space research stations revealed their true nature. Gravity well generators, each one capable of creating artificial black holes, powered up around clusters of trapped Valkyrie ships. The aliens found themselves pulled helplessly toward points in space where antimatter warheads waited to detonate. Other groups of enemy vessels discovered that the empty space around them was actually filled with nanomachines, designed to eat through alien hull materials in seconds. The microscopic machines had been invisible to Valkyrie sensors, but they began consuming the enemy ships with frightening speed. Sir, reported weapons specialist Kim Hyunwoo, 90% of enemy vessels have been eliminated. The remaining 10% are disabled and drifting. Captain Yang Daeho looked at his chronometer. The entire operation had taken 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Secure the surviving vessels, he ordered. We'll need at least one intact for intelligence purposes. Admiral Vorthek's flagship was one of the few ships that survived the initial attack, but it was completely powerless. His engines were dead, his weapons were offline, and his communication systems were jammed by technology he couldn't understand. A human face appeared on his main screen. It was Colonel Lee Minho from Earth's First Contact Center, and he was smiling politely. Admiral Vorthek, Lee Minho said in perfect Valkyrie language, this is Earth Defense Command. Your surrender ultimatum has been received and processed. We are now requiring your response. Vorthek stared at the human in shock. Impossible. You're supposed to be primitive. Your technology is hundreds of years behind ours. Lee Minho's smile widened. That's what we wanted you to think. Now you have 60 seconds to surrender your remaining vessels unconditionally, or we will demonstrate additional capabilities you haven't seen yet. In the Galactic Council's war room, absolute chaos had erupted. Their long-range sensors had detected the impossible, the complete destruction of the Valkyrie fleet in less than 5 minutes. This cannot be accurate, Thexanar insisted, staring at his displays in disbelief. Check all sensors. Run full diagnostics. Sir, reported his assistant. All systems are functioning normally. The readings are correct. The entire Valkyrie fleet has been neutralized. Rek'Sai's purple wings trembled with shock. 50,000 warships destroyed in minutes. How is this possible? Their communication system suddenly activated, and they found themselves looking at a human face. It was Admiral No Youngho, though they didn't know his name. Galactic Council, Admiral No said calmly. This is the United Earth Defense Force. The unprovoked attack on our planet has been repelled. The Valkyrie threat has been neutralized with minimal damage to Earth infrastructure. He paused, letting his words sink in. Any future aggressive actions toward Earth will result in immediate and decisive response. We suggest you update your files regarding human military capabilities. The transmission ended. leaving the council members staring at blank screens in stunned silence. Engineer Bei Jisu ran final diagnostics on all human systems. All quantum defense networks are functioning normally, she reported. No damage to any of our installations. 0 human casualties reported. Dr. Choi Hana allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. 60 years of careful planning, secret construction, and technological development had paid off perfectly. The aliens had expected to fight primitive humans with chemical rockets and metal bullets. Instead, they had encountered a species that had mastered quantum physics, antimatter containment, gravity manipulation, and nanotechnology while pretending to be technologically inferior. Captain Yang Deho received the final reports from all Earth defense units. Operation Quantum Storm is complete, he announced to his crew. Total enemy losses, 49,732 vessels destroyed. 268 vessels captured intact. Lieutenant Commander Park Subin shook her head in amazement. 4 minutes and 23 seconds to end an interstellar invasion. That has to be some kind of record. Yang Deho looked out at the debris field that had once been the mighty Valkyrie fleet. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity doesn't just fight to survive. When we decide to end a war, we end it completely. The 4-minute war was over. But for humanity and for the galaxy, everything was just beginning. The silence in the Galactic Council's war room was deafening. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the Council's most experienced military minds had no idea what to say or do. Thexinar stared at his tactical displays, running the same sensor sweeps over and over again. Each scan confirmed the impossible. Where 50,000 Valkyrie warships had existed just minutes ago, now there was only empty space filled with debris. Run the analysis again, he ordered his assistant for the 5th time. Sir, I've run it 12 times already. The results are always the same. Total Valkyrie fleet destruction in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. No survivors detected except for a few hundred ships that appeared to have been captured intact. Rek'Sai's 6 legs trembled as she tried to understand what had happened. This violates everything we know about warfare, about technology, about the humans themselves. Counselor Zeftar, who resembled a giant crystal formation with glowing internal lights, spoke in his resonating voice. Our intelligence was completely wrong. These humans are not primitive. They're more advanced than any species we've encountered. The Council's communication system activated again, and Admiral No Youngho's face appeared on their screens. This time his expression was serious and businesslike. Galactic Council, he began. I am Admiral No Youngho of the United Earth Defense Force. I'm transmitting detailed tactical data about the engagement you just witnessed. Data streams began flooding the Council's computers. Technical specifications for quantum displacement technology, antimatter containment systems, gravity well generators, and nanoscale weapons platforms. Technology that was centuries ahead of anything the Council possessed. As you can see, Admiral No continued, Earth's defensive capabilities are quite extensive. The Valkyrie fleet was neutralized using approximately 12% of our available resources. Thexinar felt his 4 hearts skip beats. 12%? You're saying this demonstration used only 12% of your military strength? Correct. We wanted to respond proportionally to the threat. 50,000 ships seemed like it deserved a measured response. The implications hit the Council like a physical blow. If humans had destroyed the galaxy's most powerful invasion fleet, using only 12% of their strength, what could they do with 100%? Captain Kim Hyunwoo aboard the human vessel Inchin's Pride was carefully cataloging the captured Valkyrie ships when he received new orders from Earth Command. Sir, reported his communications officer, we're ordered to select the most intact enemy vessel and establish contact with its commander. Acknowledged. Bring the flagship alongside the Valkyrie command ship. Let's have a conversation with their admiral. Admiral Vorthek sat in his powerless ship, staring out at the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. His red eyes, usually burning with confidence and cruelty, now held only shock and growing fear. When the human ship appeared next to his vessel, Vorthek was amazed by what he saw. The human ship looked nothing like the primitive vessels in the Council's intelligence reports. It was sleek, advanced, and radiated power that his sensors could barely comprehend. Admiral Vorthek, came a voice over his communication system. This is Captain Kim Hyunwoo of the Earth Defense Force. Permission to come aboard your ship for a face-to-face discussion. Vorthek had no choice but to agree. His ship was completely helpless and the humans could destroy it any time they wanted. When Captain Kim Hyunwoo arrived in Vorthek's bridge, accompanied by 2 human soldiers, the Valkyrie admiral was struck by how calm and professional they appeared. These were not the frightened primitives he had expected to conquer. "Admiral," Kim Hyunwoo said politely, "I have some questions about your invasion plans. Specifically, we'd like to know which other species in the Council supported this attack on Earth." Vorthek tried to maintain his dignity despite his hopeless situation. "I will tell you nothing, human." Kim Hyunwoo smiled, but it was not a cruel smile. "Admiral, let me explain something to you. In the past 4 hours, humanity has demonstrated the ability to detect your fleet from the edge of the solar system, trap 50,000 warships using technology you can't understand, and destroy your entire invasion force in less than 5 minutes. He paused, letting this sink in. "Do you really think we don't already know everything we want to know about the Council's involvement in this attack?" Dr. Song Minji, Earth's chief xenobiologist, was reviewing the intelligence reports streaming in from the captured Valkyrie vessels when she made a disturbing discovery. "Commander Park Ji-ho," she called from her research station, "you need to see this." The Valkyrie weren't acting alone. This invasion was planned and approved by the entire Galactic Council. Park Ji-ho studied the intercepted communications and planning documents. "So the Council thought they could wipe us out and divide up our planet among themselves?" "Exactly. They saw Earth as a prize to be conquered, and humans as a primitive species that would surrender immediately." Park Ji-ho activated his secure communication channel to Earth's leadership. "Mr. President, we have a bigger problem than we thought. This wasn't just a Valkyrie attack. The entire Galactic Council was behind it." President Han Jae-wook received the intelligence report in his secure bunker beneath Seoul. As he read through the captured documents, his expression grew darker with each page. The Council hadn't just approved the invasion of Earth. They had already begun dividing up human territory, planning to use surviving humans as slave labor, and discussing which species would get which continents. "They made a very serious mistake," President Han told his advisors. "They didn't just attack us. They planned to enslave our entire species." Defense Minister Yoon Se-hoon nodded grimly. "Sir, this changes everything. We can't just defend ourselves and hope they leave us alone. The Council has declared war on humanity itself." "Agreed. Activate Phase 2 of the Defense Protocol. It's time the galaxy learned some new rules." Back in the Council chamber, the alien leaders were beginning to realize the true scope of their error. The technical data from the humans showed weapons and defenses that made their own technology look like primitive tools. "We have to negotiate," Rek'Sai said desperately. "Send a peace envoy immediately." "It may be too late for that," Thexanar replied, studying the human tactical data. "Look at these specifications. Their quantum displacement technology could move their entire fleet anywhere in the galaxy, instantly. Their antimatter weapons could destroy entire planets." Counselor Zeftar's lights dimmed with fear. "We based our invasion plans on completely false intelligence. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were pretending to be primitive while secretly developing the most advanced military technology in galactic history." Their communication system activated once more. This time they found themselves looking at a human in an expensive suit, sitting behind an impressive desk. This was President Han Jae-wook, though they didn't recognize him. "Galactic Council," President Han said in a voice that was calm but carried an undertone of steel. "I am President Han Jae-wook of United Earth. I have reviewed the intelligence data recovered from the Valkyrie fleet." He held up a datapad. "I now know that this invasion was not just a Valkyrie operation. This was a Council-approved conquest with the intention of enslaving the human species." The Council members looked at each other in growing panic. They had never expected the humans to capture ships intact or recover their secret communications. "Mr. President," Thexanar began desperately. "Perhaps we can discuss the discussion phase is over," President Han interrupted. "Humanity is now aware that the Galactic Council considers us a species to be conquered and enslaved. This knowledge changes our relationship permanently." He leaned forward, his eyes hard as stone. "You have 1 hour to decide whether you want to negotiate with Earth as equals or face the consequences of your actions. Choose carefully." The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. They had thought they were dealing with primitive humans who would beg for mercy. Instead, they found themselves facing a species that had just demonstrated the ability to destroy entire fleets in minutes. and who now knew exactly what the Council had planned for humanity. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely, and the Council was no longer in control. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in their 1,000-year history. For the first time, they were not debating how to conquer or control another species. Instead, they were desperately trying to figure out how to avoid being conquered themselves. President Han Jae-wook appeared on their main screen exactly 1 hour after his previous message. Behind him stood several other humans in military uniforms, their faces calm but alert. The Council noticed that these humans showed no fear, no desperation, no willingness to beg for mercy. Galactic Council, President Han began. Your hour of consideration is over. Have you reached a decision? Thexianar, still trying to maintain some dignity despite the situation, cleared his throat. Mr. President, perhaps we can find a mutually beneficial arrangement. The Council is willing to recognize Earth as an independent world. President Han's expression didn't change. That's not sufficient. Rex High's wings fluttered nervously. What? What would be sufficient? President Han gestured to one of the officers behind him. This is Fleet Admiral Lim Soo-young, commander of Earth's Galactic Defense Fleet, Admiral. Admiral Lim stepped forward, her posture straight and professional. Galactic Council, Earth's position is simple. We require full membership in the Council with equal voting rights, immediate cessation of all hostile activities toward human interests, and reparations for the unprovoked attack on our world. Councillor Zeftar's lights flickered in confusion. Reparations, but we are the Council. We don't pay reparations to anyone. You do now, Admiral Lim replied calmly. The alternative is for Earth to demonstrate additional military capabilities that you haven't seen yet. Thexianar felt a chill run down his spine. Additional capabilities? You're saying the destruction of the Velkari fleet was not your full strength? President Han answered this time. Admiral, please show them the Titan defense platform specifications. Data began streaming across the Council's screens. Technical schematics for massive space stations, each one capable of destroying entire star systems. The specifications showed weapons that could crack planets in half, shields that could withstand supernova explosions, and manufacturing capabilities that could build fleets faster than any species in the galaxy. These platforms are already under construction, Admiral Lim explained. We have 73 of them positioned throughout human space, with more being built every day. The Council members stared at the technical data in horror. Each platform was larger than their biggest space stations and possessed firepower that exceeded entire Council fleets. This is impossible, Rex High whispered. No species could build such things without us knowing about it. You weren't looking for them, said a new voice. Director Moon Tae-hyung of Earth's Galactic Relations. Department appeared on the screen next to President Han. For 60 years, humanity has been building these installations while your species assumed we were primitive. You saw what you expected to see? He activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Every research station, every mining operation, every communication satellite we launched was actually part of our defense network. We've been preparing for this confrontation since we first detected your existence. Captain Yu Seung-ho was overseeing the construction of Titan Platform 7 when he received the update from Earth Command. The platform was already the size of a small moon, bristling with quantum cannons and antimatter torpedoes. Sir, reported his chief engineer, Earth Command confirms that the Council has agreed to negotiations. We're to continue construction but reduce to standard alert status. Yu Seung-ho looked out at the massive construction project around him. Thousands of automated builders worked around the clock, using resources from asteroids and dead planets to create humanity's new defensive network. Good, he replied, but keep building. The Council agreed to negotiate, but they haven't agreed to our terms yet. Back in the Council chamber, the alien leaders were beginning to understand their new reality. Species that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were now faced with a human civilization that had outmaneuvered them completely. Your terms, Thexianar said slowly. Full Council membership, cessation of hostilities, and reparations. What form would these reparations take? Director Moon Tae-hyung smiled politely. Technology transfers, raw materials for our construction projects, and formal guarantees of human territorial sovereignty. Nothing unreasonable. And if we refuse? Rek'Sai asked, though she already feared the answer. President Han's expression grew colder. then Earth will be forced to implement unilateral security measures throughout the galaxy. We cannot allow hostile species to threaten human interests. The implications were clear. If the Council refused to negotiate, humanity would simply take what they wanted by force. And after seeing what humans could do to the Velkari fleet, no species in the galaxy could stop them. Dr. Zhang Yunji was leading Earth's xenotechnology research team through the captured Velkari vessels when she made an interesting discovery. "Director Song," she called to her supervisor, "you need to see this. The Velkari technology is actually quite advanced, but it's designed completely wrong." Dr. Song Minji examined the alien systems with professional interest. "How so?" "They focused on brute force applications. Bigger ships, more powerful weapons, stronger shields. But they never developed anything elegant or efficient. It's like they never learned to be creative with their technology." Dr. Song nodded thoughtfully. "That explains why they were so surprised by our quantum displacement systems. They couldn't imagine technology that was subtle instead of massive. This discovery led to a new understanding of galactic politics. The Council species had grown complacent over the centuries, relying on size and tradition instead of innovation. Humanity's approach of continuous improvement and creative problem-solving had given them a massive technological advantage. 3 days after the failed invasion, the Galactic Council formally accepted Earth's terms. Humanity became the newest member of the Council with full voting rights and territorial guarantees. But the galaxy had changed in ways that went far beyond politics. Captain Kim Hyunwoo received reports from human diplomatic teams now stationed throughout Council space. "Sir, we're getting requests from individual species who want to establish separate trade agreements with Earth. They're not going through the Council." This was exactly what President Han had expected. The Council's authority had been built on military superiority and technological dominance. Now that humanity had demonstrated superior capabilities in both areas, individual species were beginning to question why they needed the Council at all. Fleet Admiral Lim Soo-young was reviewing intelligence reports when she noticed a troubling pattern. "Several Council species are quietly building up their military forces," she reported to Earth Command. "They're not planning another direct attack, but they're definitely preparing for something." President Han wasn't surprised by this news. "They're afraid," he explained to his advisors. "For 1,000 years, the Council maintained order through fear and superior technology. Now there's a species in the galaxy that's more advanced than they are." Defense Minister Yoon Se-hoon nodded. "Some of them will try to regain their advantage through secret weapons development or alliance building." "Let them try," President Han replied calmly. "We'll be watching." Commander Yu Seong-ho completed the final inspections of Titan Platform 7 and activated its systems. The massive space station hummed to life, its quantum sensors sweeping across nearby star systems. "Platform 7 is fully operational," he reported to Earth Command. "All weapon systems online, manufacturing facilities at full capacity, defensive shields at maximum strength." With 73 Titan platforms now active throughout human space, Earth possessed the most powerful defensive network in galactic history. Any species that wanted to threaten humanity would face weapons and defenses they couldn't hope to match. But more importantly, humanity had gained something even more valuable than military superiority: respect. Director Moon Tae-hyung concluded his first formal diplomatic meeting with representatives from 12 different Council species. Each group had come to discuss trade agreements, technology exchanges, and mutual defense pacts with Earth. "The galaxy is changing," he reported to President Han. "Species that used to be enemies are now working together, trying to figure out how to coexist with humanity. Some are afraid of us, but others are genuinely interested in learning from us." President Han looked out at the stars from his office window. Just a week ago, those stars had been filled with enemies coming to destroy his world. Now they were filled with opportunities and new relationships. The Galactic Council had predicted that humanity would collapse in hours when faced with superior technology and overwhelming force. Instead, humans had ended an entire war in minutes and reshaped galactic politics forever. Earth was no longer a primitive world on the edge of civilized space. It was the new center of galactic power, and humanity had become the species that others looked to for leadership, protection, and innovation. The age of human dominance had begun, not through conquest or cruelty, but through preparation, intelligence, and the willingness to defend their home against any threat. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.